to the quantum mechanics.
Yes, we're the Quantum Mechanics. We're the paranormal podcast for the believers, doubters, and everyone in between. And as you can probably hear with the amount of... Oh, that was a Ferrari going past. With the amount of Ferraris going past, we're out and about. It's midsummer.
It's midsummer, and we're in the... Well, it's where we were last year. We're by some standing stones. We're waiting for them to go and take a drink at the pub. We're with our very good friend James from the Loremen.
Hello.
And somebody else who is a friend of the show, Tim, who's over there.
Hello.
There are basically four men standing at the side of an intersection of two roads with some stones.
Yeah, I mean, we did this last year. And to be frank, when it hit midnight, we were here to see these stones move, probably go and get a drink, either at the pub or the stream. There seems to be some debate about that. And anyone who listened to last year didn't really come off last year, but we do think we may have had the wrong midsummers. Isn't that right, James?
It depends whether it's going for the celestial or the sort of traditional calendar one.
Yeah. So we thought we'd give it another crack this year. So, yeah, this is Stonewatch 2023.
Don't worry, we do have other stuff to come up.
Yeah.
We're not going to fill the show just with that.
We got some stories randomly because we thought we could channel the power of the stones. We're going to do some remote viewing. So anyone who's listened to the episodes we've done in the past around remote viewing, all of us here have set each other an anonymous target to draw, and we're going to reveal what we've done and whether everyone's got even close to drawing what we think. We're going to use our psychic abilities by channeling the stones to reveal whether we can read each other's minds of the targets that we've set.
Exactly. It's going to be fun. It's not a normal episode, but we don't want to be normal.
No, and we've got some other stone stories coming your way. So we will take a pause for a while and we'll catch you a bit later. We're going to do some remote viewing. I've already done one drawing for the target that James had set. Ben has set me a target as well. So all I know is it's the number 82315. And we've got about 15 minutes because we're here with James from the Loremen, and we're going to do some live YouTube-y stuff. Well, if you're listening to this, we've already done it. But so I'm going to have to do some speed remote viewing, which is a new technique, which I've never done before. So Ben is holding a mic in my face, and I'm going to try and have a think of what he's set. So, okay. Wow, the pressure. Now, you're supposed to write down. So I've got this thing that I always have when I do this. I'm trying to read Ben's mind in terms of what would Ben have set, and I know that is completely the wrong thing to do. So, now the weird thing is, I've done James's target, and all I got when I was doing James's target was straight lines and kind of sharp edges and straight lines. Ben's, I'm kind of... It's got semicircles going through my mind. So I'm going to draw some more circular things, like a dome. It actually looks like a chocolate tea cake, if anyone knows what they are. So I'm going to do a chocolate tea cake. I'm going to do another chocolate tea cake. This one's a bit bigger. Oh, so now I'm thinking... Right, you have to write stuff down, don't you? So I was thinking about tunnels, and I was thinking about the Sydney Opera House, but I don't think it's that. But something about that shape I quite like, the Sydney Opera House. Curvy lines. I'm just going to do some curvy lines. What's really weird about this is I'm here with Ben. Ben has got the microphone in my face, and I know he set the target, and he's watching me do this drawing, and I really wanted to look at him to kind of get some feedback, but I'm not going to do that because that...
What I can't communicate is any details at all to Peter, and I've watched Tim complete this target as well. And it is really difficult to not give any feedback because that destroys the whole point of remote viewing. But there's a piece of you that wants to sort of say, oh, you should build on this, you should build on that, but you can't. You have to be a passive observer. And now I understand when Daz talks about being a coach in this, it's really difficult. And I think it's also really difficult considering it's about 10 to 11 on the 23rd of June and we're under some trees literally on the outskirts of a village in the Cotswolds, and it's completely dark and I can hear birds all around us. This is quite a surreal experience.
So I had another few things going through my head. Weirdly, I don't know if anyone remembers the old Atari logo. I've got the old Atari logo going through my head. I always remember it from Blade Runner.
What you're drawing there looks almost like an angel.
Yeah, well, I was thinking of the Angel of the North at one stage. But that doesn't make any connection with what I've drawn earlier. And yeah. How long have I got in my speech? I've still got another 5 minutes. Okay, let me think about this. It looks like one of those weird corkscrews, the way I've drawn it as well. You know those wooden ones you get that are kind of...
The ones that Sherlock had to help you find.
Yeah. The thing I've not been able to get out of my head while I've been doing both James's and yours is because we're at the Stones. I'm like, oh, they'd have definitely gone for something stone, but I don't think either of them have. Touching, feeling.
That's the noise and the signal.
Yeah.
Just while you look at that, let me just ask James, because you'd never done remote viewing before. When we suggested doing it, was it a completely alien concept to you?
I think I've read The Men Who Stare at Goats, and so I think I'm sort of vaguely au fait with the idea of remote viewing. My method when I was doing it, I just cleared my mind and just sort of drew the first thing that popped into my head, basically.
But did things pop into your head?
Yeah. A couple of things popped into my head, and I did my best to draw them.
But obviously, until we reveal, you've no idea whether it was just a figment of your imagination or whether it was something real.
Yeah. Presumably it's all in my head, apart from the bit that I put down on the paper. So it's as close to a drawing of something in my head as anyone would want to see.
Fair enough. Tim, when you started doing it, I know you said you did it on a train and you tried to clear your head. How did it feel for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd read about how to do it briefly, and one of them was that you go for your gut instinct, and I think I probably did it the completely wrong way, which was there was no meditation going on or a nice quiet area or room, but I did feel that what popped into my head initially I thought was just silly, because you do try and second guess what the person that made the code might be thinking. There's a bit of like noise. I do kind of put it again like a bit like the noise that you get when you're trying to make your brain calm down to sleep. You know that there's other things you're thinking of, but you can't really pick them out what they are. They're kind of like in the background, but there's one that sort of popped in, and I sort of stopped and then thought, well, that's a silly thing. It can't be that. But then the next day I thought, well, should I redo it? And I thought, no, because that was the initial, thing that came in my head, and it's there for very, very, very briefly, and then sort of disappeared. So I don't know. It could be silly. Might not be. I don't know. It's but it's weird, and I've never done it before. So, but I know of it because of the old, the old stories and rumours of CIA and remote viewing into rooms and that sort of thing. But yeah, never done it before.
So, I think that's how we all felt when we were trying to do what we were doing with Daz. You've just had a few more minutes to draw. What do you think you've got there?
Well, nothing coherent, but. Gaudi was coming to my mind, so that started me thinking about Barcelona. I was thinking of the cathedral in Barcelona, but it wasn't that. It was like, I don't know, those kind of Gaudi balconies that are just that really weird kind of surreal shape. I keep getting this thing of kind of something stepped, either circular stepping up or not. They're not steps. It's a structure that has got different levels, possibly round levels. Or
so it looks like you've got. Well, I don't want to lead the. I don't want to lead the witness.
I'm a terrible artist, by the
way.
But
it looks to me like you've drawn 3 blocks with patterns on the front.
Yeah. There's definitely a 3 thing going on, and there's something about the level of these 3 things not quite being the same, and these are almost like those swirly Gaudi. It's Gaudi, isn't it? Yeah, those Gaudi kind of balconies that you get in Barcelona, which are just bonkers and don't look like anything else.
So I kind of described it for you there, but you describe it. What do you think you've drawn there? What do you think the material is? What do you think? I can see, like, it looks like 3 steps, but tell me what you think they look like.
I don't know. I don't think they're steps. They may kind of have the appearance of steps, but I don't think they're steps. In terms of the feel of them, I'm kind of... it's kind of a soft... I want to say soft stone, but it's probably because I'm sitting next to a stone. It's not like a flat, reflective surface. It's almost kind of pastel-y is coming in my mind, but I've only got a blue pen, so I can't really do anything about that.
Well, listeners,
I'm going to call it a day there, I think.
Okay, well, this is very interesting. Before we go live again on YouTube, I've seen what Tim's drawn, and we will reveal that later. James, does what Peter has done bear any resemblance to what you've drawn?
82315. There are some similarities between what I've drawn, yeah. I don't want to show you yet. I'll show you on the thing.
All right, cool.
Right, so you're sort of listening to this podcast in a peculiar real time, which is going to be very annoying for anyone driving up the M40 right now. But I have to leave you because we're going to go live on a video site, and then we'll be back with you and we will explore this a little bit more. Thank you for bearing with us on what is a very strange and peculiar night in the Cotswolds with the... I'm not saying they're not haunted stones. They are...
They are haunted, yeah. There's a ghost story as well, don't worry. In Enstone, the Hoar Stone is to mark the grave of an imaginary General Hoar who was killed in the Civil War. And I'm reading from the book here. Hoar Stone is a common name for a standing stone in the Cotswold areas. Some archaeologists suppose the word to be war stone, and the initial W and the initial and the initial H are both omitted in the Cotswold dialect. It is spoken of as an ore stone. And evidence given by Mr. Abbott, a septuagenarian of Fulwell near Enstone, on the 27th of April 1973, made no claim for so late a date as the Civil War. He merely called it a long time ago. I couldn't say how long, which is a bit vague. He recorded an interesting tradition that the body of this general was brought along Dead Man's Ride by a man, a horse and a dog. And Dead Man's Ride is an indistinctly marked track which may have originally been part of Grimm's Ditch, which is in line with the track going to Ditchley, which I think is that direction. And there is a ghost tradition attached to this. And Mr. Abbott himself claimed to have seen 2 men going along Dead Man's Ride and passing straight through a wire netting fence. His dogs crouched and bristled and would not move till the ghost had passed. And it may be remarked that Mr. Abbott pointed to a large slab of stone lying undressed in a disused quarry and called it an ore stone. So possibly the word means just a large undressed stone. Another, this is not from the book now, another reason for ore stone is meant to be it's hoar stone is like hoar frost, so it means kind of grey, and in certain lights these stones appear to be grey, which is different to the local sort of sandstone. They look kind of sort of greeny yellow at the moment, but I think when they're wet, they look grey. Just fun fact: there's also a tingle stone nearby at Avening. It's a tingle stone. It's a tingle stone. It can give you a little tingle. Apparently, it gives you a little electric shock. Not this one.
If you've got to ask, you've not had the tingle, have you?
And these are related to the Rollright stones, which are not too far, and we all know the story of the Rollright stones. I don't need to go into that again here.
We're going to do some remote viewing, but we haven't revealed to each other whether we've got close or not. So it's a weird feeling.
It's a weird feeling. So there were 3 targets set. Each one of us, Tim has done all of them but didn't set one. We all set one, but none of us know what the targets were. And I have seen some of the drawings. In fact, we've all seen a little bit of the drawings, but you have to trust us. We haven't given anything away, and none of us have any idea who has set what. So where do we start? Shall we start? It's like Christmas Day. Shall we start revealing?
Yeah, let's have a look.
Okay.
Let me grab my notebook.
I'll grab my notebook.
Let's. Shall we look at my target first? Because I've got the microphone here. I've got the target on my phone, so we can prove that none of this is made up. You've got it in your back pocket.
I've got mine in a Loremen branded envelope. Coming through and through.
You get those if you're a Patreon member, yes?
Oh yeah, big time.
Okay. Okay, let's go anti-clockwise. So, Tim, if you want to... So this is my target. Remind me, what is my... Is it 82315 is my target?
Yes.
So this is the target that you set.
This is the target I set. So I gave it the code 82315. Okay, so... Tim, show me and show the camera up there what you've drawn.
Okay, so this is this is the thing that's sort of just popped in but wouldn't go away. And when I came the next day to go, that's silly. Maybe I should do something else. I was like, no, I've already got the thing. And
so, do you want to describe what it is that you've drawn?
So basically, it's probably an easy thing to describe, which is basically
It basically looks like a white piece of paper as far as I can tell, but can you see? It looks like a...
If you can imagine like an old school 3-drawer metal cabinet. That's what just came in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. That looks like a classic filing cabinet to me.
Like the classic metal, old school, 60s, 70s sort of metal cabinet. And it was weird at the time because I thought, well, that's just silly. And there was sort of noise around, but it was enough to make me think, to stand out, to make me think, well, maybe that's just the thing, and you meant to go with your gut, and So, yeah. But then at the time, I just thought, well, that's just silly because that's classic CIA, stories of people remote viewing into metal cabinets, for documents and stuff, which is just, there's stories of those. But that was. But it wouldn't go away. So it's weird. Yeah.
Okay.
So James,
interesting. Okay, my drawing is. Can you see that particularly well? It's. The first thing that sort of popped into my head was a little sort of like a heart monitor type thing, or maybe it's because I was thinking about podcasts. It looks like a little sound wave file, and I could sort of picture a little box. It was on a little table in a sort of hospital vibe, and there was you could see the feet of someone in a bed on a hospital bed, and there's a window in the background.
interesting.
So there's a table, and that's a bit like a filing cabinet, but very unwell filed.
Okay, well, I did I did my. To be honest, I was a bit lazy. I did my drawing in between us last going on air on YouTube. I started off. Well, I don't know if you can see this. I've done 2 pages. I don't know if you can see that. I started off by drawing something that was a bit like a chocolate tea cake.
Turnips.
Yeah, and I drew 2 of them. And then I got the Atari logo in my head, the old Atari logo, so I started drawing that. And then something that looks like a rubbish version of the Angel of the North. And then it started to... I kept thinking about things that were stepped up. I, a bit like Tim, got 3s. Everything was in 3s for me. I had 3 domes. I had this thing I thought was really interesting. I started thinking about... It is Gaudi, isn't it, who did all the stuff in Barcelona? Those weird... So. I started thinking Gaudi, so I've done these 3 things here.
But it's like you've got 3 blocks of things.
Yeah, 3 blocks of things with these wiggly lines are kind of very Gaudi-esque was going through my mind. And then I've done 3 steps going up and then 3 round blobs going up. So I had this thing of 3 going up in things, but this one... The kind of Gaudi, kind of weird thing here is probably the one that feels the most interesting to me. But I don't know what any of that means.
Well, so Ben, you set this target. You set this target, Ben. What did you set?
Well, I wanted to do something which wouldn't be immediately obvious, but would be in keeping with the theme of the evening. And I would say Tim and Peter got something remarkably close to where I was going, because the actual picture is Easter Island heads on Midsummer Night.
Okay. Oh, right.
So probably like the best stones.
The best stones. And so when Tim started drawing a filing cabinet, it's a sticky up...
Yeah, because afterwards I would put cabinet and then...
Isn't it?
Tall metal column, or it was like more of an idea of a column. And then you look at the Easter Island heads, which is a tall...
Yeah.
Yeah. But what? So Tim had the column. You've got the sort of the 3 blocks,
and these bits. Yeah, I mean, I could be post-rationalising, but these bits are a bit like the mouth. Yeah, well, probably have. But then I had the round kind of things. Yeah, okay, that is quite interesting.
Yeah, and but
How many in your picture?
There is 5. But James, I think it's interesting that. You certainly had something human in there.
Yeah, and I suppose the sort of feet sticking up on the thing are sort of like bumps.
Well, I don't. Again, not post-rationalising, but this is something like learning how to do remote viewing takes years, and that's why a lot of people earn a lot of money from it and we don't. But Tim got something that sort of sticks up and is squarish. You got something which is human, and you got the sort of the other end. You got the feet, and Peter got blocks with where you could. I'm not, again, it's not necessarily faces, but there's patterns across it. That is not. It's not a million. It's not a million miles away.
Well, I remember when we interviewed a couple of people who. One of the guys who ran the program, the CIA program, a guy called Paul H. Smith.
And this is on your podcast.
This is on our podcast, on the quantum mechanics, and Daz Smith, who's probably the world's leading remote viewer now. But he talked about. He'd do drawing sessions that would go on for like 20 hours, and then he would kind of come back. He would do it for weeks and weeks until we kind of honed it down. So in the time we've had to do this, there's kind of getting any sense out of it is probably difficult to do. But,
I think for mine, considering that it was literally within 2 minutes in a place that wasn't quiet, you could see how if you were doing that for years and years and years and training, like I could... Yeah, I'm leaning more to... I always thought that it was a bit kind of like, one of those silly stories, but I don't know. Now I sort of think with training, you can see how people could be picking out really specific things.
Yeah.
Can we do another target then?
Let's do another one.
Yeah, let's do
who should we do? Should we do my one or should we do your one, Pete?
I don't mind. Should we...
Let's do yours and then do James, because I did have less time to do James's, but let's do yours.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, James, would you mind holding the mic while I get my...
Yeah, sure.
So my target number was 97203, if I can read my own handwriting.
But the number is that's just I just picked some random
Yeah.
numbers. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
And that's just to give you something to focus on
Yeah.
that isn't in any way related
it's
to
not
the
like
thing.
coordinates or anything like that.
Yeah. Or your PIN code. Not your PIN code. We didn't use it. I definitely didn't use my PIN code. All right.
Right.
Okay.
I used my grandmother's telephone number.
So this is the target that I set for the guys.
Okay. So Ben, you're going to reveal first. You got multiple pages. I only did one page. I feel like I've really.
He's been quite busy on this one.
James, I only did half a page on yours. So
Oh,
don't worry.
good. That's good. That is good.
I did 3 pages on everyone's.
Oosh. Right then. What have we
So,
got?
the first thing I started off with was I felt like it was some kind of structure with something looking up, almost like the apex of a house, looking with a satellite dish on.
Oh yeah.
And I even said that there's like a moon up there. It felt like there was something observing the sky. Then I gave it a break, and the second thing I felt was there was much more of a structure, and there was something even more definitely looking at the sky, and I kind of lost the satellite dish idea and almost drew a telescope. There was something pointing up, something observing. And then the third thing that I drew, again after a break from it, was it felt like it was something, again, I kept getting this idea of pointing up, and I began to assimilate the idea of looking up at the moon, and maybe it was the moon, a crater on the moon, or a volcano pointing out. It felt like perhaps more of an Earth structure and less technology.
And if you hold it up again, to me, I'd say that that looks like a big Rolo.
It was my last Rolo, James.
Oh, so it's something special.
We've got a chocolate theme going on, haven't we? We've had the
But-
tea cakes, we've
but-
had the Rolos.
But the theme is structure and
Pointing up.
pointing up, yes.
Okay. Interesting.
Tim, what have you got?
I think, yeah, mine's not as exciting as that. And it just popped into my head. It's not chocolate based, it's water based. It was a weird view of a kind of a swimming pool. Indoor swimming pool, so there is a very basic kind of structure. That really wasn't. I knew it was indoors, but yeah, like a weird sort of as if you're looking along at the side of the swimming pool, of an indoor one.
Oh, right.
I don't know why that popped in the old head, but yeah,
Could also be a big slab of chocolate.
could also be a big slab of chocolate.
Indoors chocolate.
Yeah,
Now my one was. Hold on. Mine was a kind of a very crudely drawn beach scene. So there was over here was like sort of green covered hills kind of going down to the coastline. This is the sea here, and now I've tried to sort of capture a sandy or pebbly shingle beach with some waves coming in and going out again. And yeah.
Can I see?
Yeah.
It's no personal question. No, look at your shingles.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, that isn't too dissimilar to what Tim drew.
Yeah, an expanse of water.
It's water based. Yeah,
water-based.
it's water based.
I have the envelope. Oh, here we have got the
Oh my God.
This is like it's like the Oscars for
It really is.
stone nerds.
Oh my God, it's the Etonium.
The what?
Ah,
We're in Belgium.
Oh,
I've been in that.
Have you? I mean, Tim, James, No, not really. There's nothing there for you, is there?
There's no water in there.
No, there's nothing. Ben, you had the cratery, the round thing, looking up at the sky, the perspective.
The satellite dish. Yeah. I had the technology thing, but then I ruined it.
There were bits.
Well, it's almost like a satellite, which you got into on the second picture, but then went away from it.
Yeah, I did draw a satellite. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if there were prizes given out, I think Ben was the closest.
It's not. If I was working for the CIA, I think we'd have lost the Cold War. But but I did write something going up metal and glass. I did write that.
You got the structuring bit right. I think there was something there for you.
Yeah. Oh, I need more Daz time. Right. So, James, your target.
Okay, yeah, so my target for completist, the number was 17462.
For completist.
Well, shall we have a look? Who would like to reveal?
Can I go first, because I haven't got much?
Yeah, sure.
So, I did this when we first arrived at the Stones, while we were just getting set up. I got really obsessed with straight lines. Everything was really jagged and straight. And I started drawing this, I don't know if you can see this here, I started thinking of the bullet train. So I started drawing the bullet train, or Concorde was going through my mind. And then I got into train tracks. Then I got into this weird square kind of patterny thing, and patterns. So straight patterns was kind of what was coming to me. Nothing round or circular. If I was going to go for an object, I'd go for a bullet train or Concorde, but I think the patterns might be more on the straight lines. That's where I got to.
Interesting, okay.
Okay, if you wouldn't mind holding the mic for a sec. So, I also got the lines thing. I was obsessed with lines, and the very first thing I drew were parallel lines.
Like the Great Comedy album.
Yeah, it's very difficult to see, but I drew parallel lines with kind of like a house at the top.
Oh yeah.
So it's like a farm building.
Yeah.
And then
we both had the parallel line thing going on.
Yeah, and then I expanded it out to the parallel lines, and then another building which was much more church-like against another building, and I felt like I was almost looking at a farm building with a church next door. I got this idea of there being a crop or a produce, something like that, something that was countrified, but there was a building there. Okay. That's what I got.
Great. Okay, Tim.
This is where I massively fail.
Or succeed.
Well, mine was just a feeling when I was thinking of the numbers, and then a weird sort of, I'm sure this is where your viewers will say I'm about to have some sort of brain embolism or something. I had a very weird sort of pain up here. Top left of my eye. When I was thinking about the number, then I was like, oh, that's weird. And then stopped thinking about it, and I just started, maybe I'll just write that down. It's a thing, it happened. And then the pain just dissipated very quickly. So my drawing is literally my face of the top left of my eye there. Ooh. So, and I did clarify with this. I said to Ben, I was like, does it have to be a thing, or can it be something, a feeling? Or, and he's like, no, it can be a feeling, it can be everything. So yeah, I just put that down.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay then.
But I'm sure that could cover various things, because if it ends up being a hat, you could go, well, it's close to my head.
He could have a real future.
Oh yeah.
Inflict pain from a distance.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I'm going to open the envelope. I'm less au fait with this than anyone else, and I just wrote something down. I didn't realise that it was kind of supposed to be an image. That I wrote something down that would conjure up an image, and what I wrote down was, can you read that there? Probably not, because it's a very thin pen, but it's a French wedding.
A French wedding,
specifically French wedding, which, I mean,
wow.
Concorde, Is that not?
It's part
It was a
French.
co-production between the British and the French.
Concord means to join together.
French,
And I drew a rural scene with a church.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
Classic
Yes.
French wedding would happen on a farm.
And when you get married, you get a pane just behind your eye.
Do you?
That is not a traditional part of the wedding ceremony. But yeah.
I'm actually fascinated by that.
Ben's winning here, isn't he?
I think you're Concord, I think. I
Really?
think that's pretty strong. And maybe
But a
the
church.
chairs.
I drew 3 churches.
That's a travelling wedding.
It's a wedding.
Yeah, it's a wedding.
And the reason I picked that was actually linking back to where we are by the Hoar Stone. One of the stories about the Hoar Stone is that it was built to commemorate a French wedding. There was a French wedding here, and I don't know, this might have been some sort of Neolithic gazebo.
Was there a Neolithic Concord?
I don't know. Maybe this was the Neolithic Concord, the joining together
Yeah.
of some French people
Yeah,
and
that's
some
right.
English people.
That's interesting.
Well, so you drew something literal. Concord was a wedding between the French and the British,
Yeah.
and I drew a rural church 3 times, which is
Okay.
it's
How very
it's a
French.
it's a wedding in France. Yes.
A tricolor of churches.
Oh, don't say tricolor. That reminds me of my French lessons at school. I hated that book. Oh, Jean-Michel, j'adore la discothèque.
Ah, voilà, la discothèque. Wow, c'est bon. We're back. It's the last stretch. Thank you, everyone who is still with us
For
on
Stonewatch 2023 live.
Stonewatch 2023.
Are you okay? I hope so.
I'm here again with Ben and Pete from the Quantum Mechanics.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. I'm much more of a technical assistant at the moment. I'm going to let you guys do the thing.
Yes. So we're here. We're waiting for midnight on Midsummer's Eve to see if the Hoar Stone at Enstone is going to go for a little wander down to the stream or the pub or the soch and have a little drink, because that's what it's supposed to do. And when it does go, the story is that it will reveal a treasure beneath it. But there's a catch, because if you try and grab that treasure, the stone nips back, crushes you to pieces, to smithereens.
Which seems a bit unfair, really.
It does seem a bit harsh. But we've got some stories of some other stones, haven't we? We've got a little sort of stone theme. We're about just under 10 minutes away from midnight, so we're gonna tell you some stories about some stones. So Pete, what have you got?
Well, my thinking was, if nothing happens tonight, maybe we have to rethink this location in the future. So I was looking around if there's anywhere else in the country where we could really see some stones moving.
Moving.
So
we're blooming moving.
So the first one I came across is the Nine Ladies Stone Circle at Stanton Lees in Derbyshire. So local legend has it that each of the 9 boulders in this circle was a maiden turned to stone for dancing on the Sabbath.
Yay.
I think that's the
Is that
Sabbath.
in one event? Is that one big dance? One
big dance.
not
One
9 Sundays in a row.
No, it was all in one go.
Didn't learn.
Now there is a 10th stone known as the King Stone, and according to the article I read, it was their fiddler who was turned to stone.
Ah,
I think that means their musician rather than him being a bit handsy.
for the best. For the best.
Yeah. He's said to come to life once a year to play again. So if we go there next time, we could have some music and dancing involved, which could liven things up a bit.
That would be good. Yeah, a little bit of a boogie.
Yeah, Derbyshire, if we can get ourselves down there. Shall I carry on? I've got another couple.
Yeah, go on.
There's the Turning Stone in Ashover, which again is in Derbyshire, which seems to be a hotbed of stone activity.
Nice.
Yeah, so for all you stone watchers out there, Derbyshire is the place to be. Now this,
which is not where we are.
no, it's not where we are, but maybe next year. The turning stone, it's this impressive looking thing. It's claimed to revolve on certain days of the year at cockcrow.
Oh.
Now, unfortunately, no one's quite sure on which days it actually does this. So if we are going to do a stone watch there, the plan would have to be we're going to have to camp out maybe for 364, 65 days of the year and watch every cockcrow dawn to see if this stone twirls around.
Or we could source our own cock
That is
and
true.
get it to crow.
Yeah, we could try and force the issue.
Yeah. I wonder what axis is it going to revolve?
Yeah,
Is
apparently...
it going to be like, is it going to do a full front flip or a pirouette? We won't know until we watch that stone.
Yeah. Is it clockwise? Is it anti-clockwise? Now, I did find a quote from an 18th century antiquarian who described the stone as a rock idol to whom the Druids offered up their devotion.
Ooh, sort of like a Mick Jagger figure.
Yeah, kind of. And with the Sabbath one earlier, I was thinking it could be, there's a Black Sabbath link. There's all sorts of stuff going on. Now, a lot of people will have heard of the Avebury stones in Wiltshire, but they're very interesting. Quite a collection of stones. I didn't know much about them, to be honest, before I did some little bit of research that I did. There's an outer and inner ring. There's an avenue that leads to more stones that are about a mile away. This I didn't know. There are also 15 stones buried underground. And legend has it that one of the large diamond-shaped stones, which is close to the road, is said to cross the road at midnight when the clock strikes 12. That's so rather than waiting here for one night of the year, we could just go there. It's apparently this thing's going on every night.
We've got a sort of like a stone lollipop stone.
Yeah, exactly. Stop.
Yeah. I do have a personal anecdote about the Avebury stones.
Oh, go.
So in the late 90s, I was going to the Glastonbury Festival, and I was driving there, and the road from around here to Glastonbury does actually go through Avebury, and at that time I'd never heard of Avebury, and so it was night time and we were driving through, and basically all of a sudden a stone was basically in our path.
Right.
And now you mention the fact that it does cross the road at midnight, that makes me feel that maybe I saw it.
You saw it. Did you have to swerve?
I feel that I did. I feel that we were driving along. There seemed to be a stone right in the middle of the road, and we went round, but I think it was just basically a corner. But having revisited it, I can't find that spot where there's a stone that close to the road. So I don't know. You never know.
That is a true stone watcher in action in there. The last one I was going to mention is, I'm not going to be able to pronounce it properly, so apologies to anyone in Scotland. The Stane o Cuban stone in Bursey in Orkney in Scotland. Now this one, it's about 4 metres high. Not a very good looking stone, to be honest, if you're an avid stone watcher. It's not the prettiest of stones. But it is said to walk to the nearby loch one day a year at the stroke of midnight to dip its head in the water and get a drink.
Ah.
A bit like this stone here.
A bit like this is due to do in just under 5 minutes now. Have we got a time check, Tim? What are we on?
We're 3 minutes away.
3 minutes away. Okay, just time for a little stone anecdotes. We've got there's a stone in Blacksall called, well, it says here in friend of the show, Law of the Land, that, just wait for this car.
Watch that stone.
Blacksall is famous for its growing stone, which is a 5-ton lump of glacial sandstone in the yard of Stone Farm, of all places. It was reputedly found by a man who lived at the end of the 19th century. He was a champion ploughman, and he was the foreman at Stone Farm. And one day he turned up this stone with his plough, and seeing it was different from the regular stones, he put it to one side and he carried it to his farmyard and dropped it. Now, this is a 5-ton stone. At that time, it was no bigger than 2 fists. And the belief that the stone grows came from that, and it grew from being 2 fists size to 5 tons over the years. The Reverend F. Barnum Zink, notes, it was some years ago assured by an educated farmer who had much intelligence that it was of no manner of use to have stones picked off one's land because, and this is the reason he gave, it is an undoubted fact that the land produces them. And another story connected to that is that a clergyman was trying to convince a man that stones did not grow. He said, "But if you put your stone on that mantelpiece and look at it in 5 years, you'll find it's not grown." And the reply was, "No, and I reckon if you put a tater on there, it would not grow neither." Got ya.
10 seconds.
10
seconds
seconds till stone time.
9,
Here we go.
9,
It's going to
8,
move.
7,
6,
6,
5,
4, 3, 2, 1. A watch stone never moves, maybe. Yeah.
This is kind of like the worst hootenanny.
Yeah.
But at least we're doing it on the actual date.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm checking the EMF. Nothing.
Unbelievable.
We have 0.
We have 0. It is now June the 24th. It is Midsummer Day.
I don't know what we're doing wrong.
I don't know.
This is twice now.
Yeah.
Oh, that was an owl, though.
Ooh. Yeah. Well,
That was
think
the sound of 4 grown men going, "Oh, an owl."
I think last year we said it's about the journey, not the destination. Do we still feel that way?
I think it's not about the moving stones. It's about the friends stones that we grow along the way.
Right. Yeah.
I think part of it is also the fact that I'm 48 and find it difficult to move. I might have to hand you the microphone while I stand up.
Well, if you can't move, how are the old stones going to move as well? Yeah, I mean, I don't think it takes away the value and the potential of stone watching
No.
as a future thing.
Yeah, and I think maybe next year you should find your own local stone. And,
Yeah, let's make it a big event.
Yeah.
Stone watching going on all over the country.
They've
and
got to move. Surely,
one of them.
One of them's got to move.
This is where we
somewhere.
got numbers. This is a numbers game,
Yeah.
the stone business.
Yeah.
Stone watching business.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, everyone.
Thank you.
This has been Stonewatch
Watch.
2023.
Yeah.
Do check out Ben and Pete on the Quantum Mechanics podcast, and we'll see you next time on Loremen. Thanks very much, everyone.
Cheers. Bye.
Are you the quantum mechanics?